Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And we are just past the 2029 trade deadline. Our Rockies trying to make the playoffs for the fourth time in our 5 seasons as general manager in Colorado. But if the season were to end today, although we're seventh in all of Major League Baseball in runs scored and ninth in all of Major League Baseball in team ERA, we would not be a playoff team. We're 6.5 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West, and we are 2 games out of a wild card spot in the National League. Have generally been a good team this year, except for the month of June when we were a bad team, and that's put us in a bit of a hole that we are still trying to dig out of. As we head into the final 2 months of the season, Chandler Simpson looks well on his way to leading the National League in steals for a third consecutive season. Jesus Luzardo tied with Jacob deGrom with 13 wins for second in the National League. Those are the 2 most prominent players from our Rockies on the leaderboards. Did not do a ton in the trade market. Kind of wanted to be buyers on the margin, but honestly, there just weren't a lot of deals out there. So we traded away the very good pitcher Dre Jameson, who was set to become a free agent after this season, and we were very unlikely to offer him a qualifying offer. And we were just financially strapped to the situation that with him looking for $18 to $20 million a year next year and a 4-year contract, very unlikely we'd have the financial resources to bring him back. So we picked up the left-hander Luke Little for him. He's pitched in 1 game for us, walked 2 and struck out 1 in an inning of work, while also allowing a run, so not a great debut for him in a Rockies uniform, but still think he can play incredibly well in Colorado. Extreme ground ball tendencies. We've got a good infield defense, very good at keeping the ball into the ballpark. He's still arbitration eligible for another couple seasons, set to make about $5 million next year, so he's not going to be cheap for a reliever for the Rockies, given that we have one of the smaller budgets and payrolls in baseball. But felt like bringing him on board made sense to at least get something for Jameson now, again, given that I was unlikely to make a QO to him, and if we did make a QO to him, I think he would accept it, and we didn't really want that to happen. The only other deal that we made was bringing Eliot Ramos on board to hopefully solve the problem for us that we've had the last couple seasons with our left fielder against left-handed pitching being a complete waste offensively. Unfortunately, Ramos not off to a great start, hitting a .190 for us in his first 21 at-bats with 7 strikeouts. Does have a homer and 3 ribbies, but he still has put up only a 37 WRC plus, his just 1 walk, so his on-base percentage is a sickly .217. Very small sample size. He's only been with us a couple of weeks, and the All-Star break was also involved there. But hope to actually, I guess we traded for him during the All-Star break, so he may have missed a game or 2 because of it. But we've probably played about 14 games since he's been here, so you can see he's only started 5 games, and those are the only ones that he's played in. So he definitely is being used primarily against left-handed pitching, and hopefully he'll be more productive against southpaws going forward. I think ultimately with the fact that when we play our next game exactly a third of the way, or 2/3 of the way through the season, and we're 3 games below Pythagorean expectations, 4th in the league in runs scored, 5th in the league in runs allowed. I talked about the ranks in all of baseball at the top of the episode. My feeling is with these good rankings and the fact that we've underperformed a little bit, and hopefully with the addition of Ramos helped our roster on the margins, and we've certainly got the potential to add some interesting guys to the team in September when we get to September call-ups. If I had to bet, I think we sneak into the playoffs this year. I know that's a very risky thing for me to be saying, given that I've kind of felt like we've been frauds having made 3 consecutive playoff appearances at this point. But when all is said and done, I think over these next couple of months, we're going to end up getting by the likes of the Phillies and or the Cubs and maybe even the Cardinals, and find ourselves in a wild card spot when all is said and done here in 2029. Taking a look at our schedule for these first couple weeks of August, we got 4 games against Arizona at home, then 3 at home against the Mets, and then we begin a road trip at Pittsburgh, at Seattle, and then 4 at the Dodgers. So I guess that's about 2.5 weeks before we'll be back home for a series against the Angels and then the Astros at home, and then back on the road at the Diamondbacks and Giants, a couple of division foes to finish off the month of August and get to September call-ups, where could have an interesting rookie or two potentially making their major league debuts. And a good start to the month of August. Took 3 out of 4 against Arizona. Unfortunately, we lost a football game 17-7. The final game of the series when we were trying to go for a sweep. Presumably we had a really rough outing from our starting pitcher and our bullpen. Jesus Luzardo, who's had an excellent year for us, 13-5 record. Talked about him being tied for second in the league in wins when we checked in at the top of the episode. Gave up 6 hits, 2 walks, and 7 earned runs over just 2 innings. Rough outing from Jordan Hicks, although it looks like errors from Amador and or Meyer played a big part in his bad performances. There were 6 unearned runs, but just one of those rough days. But if we keep winning 3 out of 4, I think things will certainly work out well for us as we get closer to the playoffs. And while my confidence bordering on arrogance that we were going to end up being a playoff team may still come back to haunt me, we are off to a good start in August. Swept 3 at home against the Mets, and then we just took 2 out of 3 on the road at Pittsburgh. So as we sit here on August 12th, we have closed the gap to just 3.5 behind the Dodgers in the division, and we are holding on to the final wild card spot in the National League already, and we're already up 3.5 on the Phillies. You can see they're 3-7 in their last 10, while we're 8-2. So it did not take long for us to flip those things around. Hopefully, we can keep the good baseball going throughout this month of August and feel like we're heading into September definitely in control of our destiny. And the good news is we swept that brief 2-game series in Seattle, so we continue to play very well. Set up well. We've got 4 games in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, 2.5 behind in the division. So if we're somehow able to sweep that series, we'll be in first place. And if we take 3 out of 4, we'll be just a half game out. So potential for us to really continue closing the gap on the Dodgers. Obviously, there's also potential for them to reassert their dominance in the National League West if they take 3 out of 4 or sweep us. The bad news heading into that series is that Adael Amador going to be out 5 or 6 weeks with a strained lat, so that's a loss for us. He's been an everyday player for us this year, having a really nice season, 117 WRC plus and a WAR of close to 3, playing primarily third base for us. But you can see he's also started 17 games at second and a couple at first and even 8 games at shortstop. So he's been a very important offensive and defensive player for us this year, having the best season of his major league career. And now he's going to be out likely until about the final week of the regular season. And with the injury to Amador, brought Ozzie Albies back. He's a guy we signed as a minor league free agent who's been up and down with us a few times this year, not particularly productive for us. Jared Cerna will play third base for us against right-handed pitching, and we'll actually put Cole Carrig into the lineup and let him play third for us against left-handed pitching. Going to keep them both in the two hole that Amador had been hitting in, and hope that they can give us something close to the production that we've gotten out of him this season. And things went incredibly well against the Dodgers. We took 3 out of 4, although similar to our series a couple weeks ago against the Diamondbacks. Won the first 3 and then dropped the final game when we were going for the sweep. The Dodgers actually played a game on our off day, so my calculations were incorrect. We are 1 game behind the Dodgers after that series, but still really liking how we're positioned, just a game behind them. Only half a game up on the Cubs for the final wildcard spot, but we're now 5.5 clear of the Braves, who have gotten past the Reds and the plummeting Phillies in the battle for the NL wildcard. So definitely feeling better about our chances to make the playoffs less than 3 weeks into the month of August. Tovar has been on a good run. He's now tied for second in the league with 88 ribbies. Also has a 16-game hitting streak. One other thing of note, just got a pop-up before this, that finally getting a little bit of production from the guy who was once the top prospect in our organization. Still not an incredible year for Charlie Condon, a 236 average, but he had 16 homers and 58 ribbies and 352 at-bats. 92 WRC plus, so he's getting closer and closer to being a league average offensive player, and he did just have home runs in 5 consecutive days, starting with the Pittsburgh series, both games against Seattle, and the first game against the Dodgers. He had a total of 13 ribbies in those 5 games as well, so some significant production from Condon. If he can continue hitting like that, certainly going to make it much easier for us to get back to the postseason. And we finally had our first bad week of the month. Split 2 games at home against the Angels, and then we lost 2 out of 3 at home against Houston, including extra innings in the rubber game of that series. 3 at Arizona, 3 at the Giants before we get to the end of August and September roster expansion. We have dropped to 3.5 behind the Dodgers, still holding on to that final wild card spot, and up 5 games on the Reds at this point. And we continued our less prosperous play over the last 5 days of the month of August, going 2 of 5, 2-3 record once again. Took just 1 game each against Arizona and the Giants on the road. Fortunately, although we haven't been playing good as over the last close to 2 weeks, first 2.5 weeks of the month of August were outstanding, as we've talked about. So as we sit here on September 1st, 6 games behind the Dodgers, who have won 7 in a row and 9 out of 10 at this point. But we're still well entrenched in the final wild card spot in the National League, 4.5 games up on the Reds. So we still definitely have work to do. Magic number is 24. With the weaker play we've had over the past close to 2 weeks, we have dropped back behind the Dodgers after, as we talked about, actually tying them for the division lead before the final game of the series, which we dropped and fell 1 back. So we've lost another 5 games on them in the standings over these last 12 days or so, but still not in a bad position to hopefully guide this team back to the playoffs. Tovar, 3rd in the league in ribbies. Simpson obviously going to lead the league in steals. Tovar now 2nd in batter war. That hitting streak is over now. And Luzardo bouncing back a bit, although the ERA has climbed to 3.84, but alone in 2nd place in the National League in wins. Speaking of our outstanding shortstop, who's making a push to potentially become a second consecutive MVP winner from our Rockies, Tovar was named the National League Batter of the Month in August. 384 average with 6 homers and 22 ribbies on the year. Monster season, 310 average, 30 homers, 93 ribbies. Also scored 80 runs, so he definitely should knock in over 100, and certainly has a chance to also score 100 runs here in 2029. And as I noted, time for September call-ups. Brought up 2 pitchers, but they're guys who have been with us before who just got caught in a numbers game and happen to have options, so they've spent some time in the minors. Brought Jaden Hill back. Our former closer was completely disastrous in 20 games in AAA Albuquerque. 20 games all out of the bullpen, 19 and 2/3 innings pitched, and somehow a 3-7 record with 5 saves in just 20 games out of the bullpen. Ridiculous 12 meltdowns in those 20 appearances. Gave up 32 hits, including 2 homers, and walked 15 in those 19 and 2/3 innings. He'll be in a long relief / mop-up role for us at the major league level, just to hopefully take a little bit of pressure off of the higher-end pitchers on the days when we need someone to eat some innings. And we also brought Drew Summers back. He was good with a 2.30 ERA over 15 and 2/3 innings in AAA. Hadn't been quite as good this season as he had been at some points in the past with us. 4.22 ERA with 20 walks over 32 innings pitched, but still think that he can hopefully give us some help as another lefty out of the pen over these final few weeks of the season. And we did bring up 2 position players, but for those of you who are wondering, Trent Clausen is not one of them, the former first-round pick from 2027, the number 55 prospect in baseball. He's held his own in AAA Albuquerque since we promoted him, hitting 263 over 274 at-bats, but he's been a slightly below-average offensive player at the AAA level. Looking at his current ratings, we'd potentially only be playing him against left-handed pitching, and figure it's more important for him to get consistent playing time, hopefully into the playoffs with Albuquerque and AAA, rather than have him sitting on the bench more often than not when we're facing right-handed pitchers in the middle of a pennant race. And although we did not bring up Mr. Clausen to make his major league debut, we will have 2 players potentially making their major league debuts in the coming weeks. Brought up Caleb Lomavita. He conceivably could be our backup catcher next season, given that we're unlikely to have the money to bring back Austin Wells, who's been a DH on a regular basis / backup catcher for us this season. Lomavita hit just 242 in 306 at-bats in AAA Albuquerque, but he is a respectable defensive player with good traits in the clubhouse. Question is clearly how much he's going to hit at the major league level. He's almost 27 years old and still, in theory, has some untapped potential, but at his age, I think it's unlikely he realizes it, so decent field, no-hit catcher most likely, but he'll be backing up Drew Romo and Wells over the next few weeks, give us a little more defensive flexibility for those wearing the tools of ignorance. The other move, potentially more impactful, we have taken Chandler Simpson, who has been our leadoff hitter all year, as some of you have commented in previous episodes, although the league-leading 75 steals is certainly something that you'd expect from a leadoff hitter. His .238 batting average and his .293 on-base percentage this year are not ideal for a leadoff hitter. 56 WRC plus, not even a win above replacement. So we brought up Dean West, 25-year-old who was a 5th-round draft pick in 2026, left-handed hitting corner outfielder. It's very conceivable that with Simpson struggling And with the fact that we could be losing our outstanding defensive center fielder, Brenton Doyle, this offseason as well, that West could be competing to be our starting center fielder next year. This year in Albuquerque, hit 242 in 331 at-bats, so he certainly didn't set the world on fire, but did have 21 doubles, 10 home runs, and importantly was 23 for 23 stealing bases, 96 WRC plus, 2.1 WAR. The lefty definitely looks like he is better offensively against right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching. And although he's no Brenton Doyle defensively, still looks like he could be a pretty interesting defensive outfielder. And we're going to give him the opportunity to be our leadoff hitter and our left fielder against right-handed pitching for this month as we try to push for the playoffs. Simpson becomes a very high-end pinch runner and occasional pinch hitter. And we won the final 2 games of the 4-game series against the Giants to take that series 3 out of 4 on the road. 2 big games at home against the Dodgers coming up, and then 4 against the Marlins as we prepare for the first full week in the month of September. 6 behind the Dodgers, 5.5 up on the Reds. Our magic number to clinch a playoff spot is down to 21. And a good week overall, but we only split the 2 games with the Dodgers at home. Then we did take 3 out of 4 against Miami. So going on the road for this upcoming week at the Padres and at the Rangers. 5 games behind the Dodgers in the division. We've actually moved up to the second wild card spot, a game up on the Cubs for the final wild card spot, 4 games up on the Reds for missing the playoffs entirely. And only a game and a half behind the Cardinals for that important first wild card spot where we could be hosting a series. They're 3-7 in their last 10. We're 7-3, so closed 4 games on them over the past 10. Our magic number down to 16. And Chandler Simpson, even though he's not starting every day anymore, has picked up another couple stolen bases. And unfortunately lost the first game of the road trip in San Diego. More importantly, a annoying injury, not something that's ultimately going to be critical for us, but Gus Nieves, the starting right fielder, going to miss a week with a foot contusion. That seems like a relatively minor injury to be out for a full week in the middle of a pennant race, but it is what it is. Nieves, who was the National League Rookie of the Year and MVP a year ago, not quite as productive this year. 263 average, 32 homers, and 85 ribbies as we sit here on September 10th. And not going to put him on the IL because we don't want to miss those last few games that we could have him up here. We do have an extra outfielder now with Simpson on the bench, so we will just sit him for the next week rather than put him on the IL. And we did end up splitting 2 out of 4 games in San Diego against the Padres. Unfortunately, we've lost 2 in a row, neither particularly close against the Rangers, 11-1 and 7-2. So we are now 6 behind the Dodgers in the division. Their magic number is down to 8. Interestingly, it's now a 3-game tie for the 3 wild card spots in the National League. The Cubs, the Cardinals, and our Rockies are all tied at 82 and 67. Only a game and a half up on the Reds, so basically looks like 4 teams for 3 playoff spots. Magic number for the Cubs, the Cardinals, and our Rockies, all down to 13. Did get some really horrible news. MVP candidate Ezekiel Tovar, done for the year, torn labrum, going to be out for about 6 months, so likely that he'll even miss the start of spring training next year, but hopefully we'll be ready for the season. But that is a huge blow for our hopes to ultimately be able to win a playoff series, which we haven't done these past 3 years. Obviously, going to the playoffs isn't even guaranteed at this point, but Losing our best player is a huge blow. Monster year for Tovar, hit 308, 33 homers and 101 ribbies on the year, 37 doubles, 18 steals, 924 OPS, 148 WRC plus, and a 7 WAR. Lose the captain personality, lose the great glove, lose the outstanding bat, and certainly not optimal that Tovar has played his last baseball of this 2029 season. And if you were wondering what the injury is to Pablo Lopez, much less serious. He just pitched today, had a little back tightness day-to-day for 3 days, but clearly don't expect to need him for 5 days anyways. I guess technically he did pitch yesterday since we haven't pitched today's game yet, but we don't need him for 4 games, and he should be ready to go when we do need him again. I guess the only positive thing injury-wise is that Adael Amador only 2 days away, hopefully, from returning from that back strain. So although we'll be not in an optimal position with Tovar gone, at least we'll get arguably our second-best infielder back to help us in this final push for the playoffs. And we ended up getting swept by Texas, home for 3 important games against the Reds, and then 3 at home against the Padres before concluding the long homestand with 3 against the Giants. And then we will go on the road for the final 3 games of the year at the Dodgers to finish off this month of September. But with that 4-game losing streak that we now have, still holding on to a tie for the 2nd and 3rd wildcard spot in the NL with the Cardinals, who have lost 7 in a row. Fortunately, the Reds also just lost, so they're still a game and a half behind. But these next 3 days are going to be critically important for our potential playoff hopes. And with the season in desperate shape, Ryan Feltner, who was once a folk hero here in Colorado, now to me he's just kind of a tool. Mr. Feltner, with his brilliant 5.23 earned run average and almost 1 win below replacement level performance for us this year after we signed him as a minor league free agent, is unhappy that he's not starting as a member of the starting rotation, and he wants us to consider giving him the respect and role that he deserves. I think that respect and role he deserves may just end up being cutting him right now. Austin Wells, despite our brutal week, was the NL Player of the Week, hit .538 with 3 homers, 7 ribbies, and 7 runs scored. He's having his best season of his career here with us as a 30-year-old. As I mentioned, definitely going to be some turnover on this roster this upcoming offseason. And with Dre Jameson traded away, Austin Wells, the DH/first baseman/backup catcher, and our outstanding center fielder, Brenton Doyle, are 2 of the really important players that we're probably not going to be able to afford to bring back next year. And with 12 games left in the season and us battling for our playoff lives, we don't have the capability to have a guy like Ryan Feltner being around. We're going to waive and DFA him, and we are going to bring up Cole Klecker, one of the better pitching prospects in our organization, but certainly not a big-time pitching prospect. Klecker, who was an 11th round pick of ours in our first draft in 2025, looks like a potentially usable major league arm. 10-6 this year in AAA Albuquerque, although the ERA was 5.40, but the PCL being the PCL, that was still 2-point wins above replacement level, basically a league average pitcher in terms of his ERA plus and his FIP minus. Did allow 20 homers and 64 walks, so certainly wasn't perfect, but we'll see what he can do down the stretch as a right-handed reliever for us out of the pen, and we wish Feltner luck with whatever is next for him in his career. And we lost the first game against Cincinnati, so just half a game up on the Reds now for the final wild card spot in the National League. Good news, we do have Amador coming back. He's going to take over as our number 3 hitter and shortstop in the painful absence of Mr. Tovar. No opportunity to give him any time to shake off the rust in AAA. Get him right back into the lineup here and hope that he can at least stabilize the position defensively and hopefully generate some offense when all is said and done. And I actually did switch one thing. We're going to play Amador at second. Marcelo Meyer is just, in my mind, a touch better at shortstop, so we'll actually pivot him to everyday shortstop. Amador will be the everyday second baseman over these last 11 games of the season as we try to guide these Rockies back into the playoffs. And after losing that first game at home against the team chasing us in the wild card race, got the result we needed, won the final 2 of that series. So we took the series against Cincinnati 2 out of 3. Off day today, 9 games left in the season at this point. 6 behind the Dodgers, so their magic number is down to 4. Still in a flat-footed tie once again with the Cubs and the Cardinals for the 3 wild card spots in the National League. Our magic number down to 8, and all 3 of us are 2.5 up on the Reds at this point. The Padres, who we've got the next 3 days at 67 and 85, are not playing for anything at this point. Looking at the leaderboards, Austin Wells now 3rd in the league in OPS. Tovar second in batter WAR. Not inconceivable that he'll fall to 3rd or even worse by the end of the season. And Jesus Luzardo tied with Mike Burrows, 16 wins, 2nd in the National League. And fortunately, we took advantage of the Padres not really playing for anything, swept that 3-game series. So 6 games to go as we head into the final week of the season. 3 at home against the Giants and then 3 on the road at the Dodgers. Dodgers' magic number is down to 2, and we're 5 games back. So odds are that they won't be playing for anything in those final 3 games since the Brewers clearly going to have the best record in the National League, and the Dodgers are going to be locked into the number 2 seed. We are tied with the Cubs, 1 game up on the Cardinals for the final wild card spot in the NL. We're up 2.5 games on the Reds to avoid missing the playoffs entirely. So our magic number down to 5, and still is very possible that we could end up with the first wild card spot and a home field advantage for that potential 3-game series. And we lost the first game against the Giants. Unfortunately, nobody picked up Feltner. He is refusing an assignment to AAA, so we are just going to go ahead and release Mr. Feltner with the loss in game number 1 of the series. We are now in the 2nd wild card spot, game behind the Cubs, a game ahead of the Cardinals, and only a game and a half up on the Reds to avoid missing the playoffs entirely. Magic number remains at 5. And we ended up losing 2 out of 3 to the last place Giants, so that was not what we hoped. 88 and 71 record, getting ready for the final series of the season. The Dodgers have clinched the division. We are half a game up on the Reds for the final wild card spot, who have won 6 in a row. The Cardinals now on the outside looking in, but we're only 1 game ahead of them, so the magic number is 3. Our hope is that the Dodgers don't have anything left to play for, but they also are going to have time off between the wild card series and their first round series, since they will be the number 2 seed in the National League, so they really don't need to rest up players all that much. As we head into the final 3 games of the year, Simpson with a career best 81 steals, going to lead the league in steals. Brenton Doyle now third in the National League in steals. Wells second in OPS. And Jesus Luzardo now second in the league in victories. Has that mild oblique strain for the next 3 days. Only pitched 7 pitches yesterday in what will be his final start of the season, unfortunately, at least in the regular season. The hope is that with the fact he won't be pitching again over these next 3 games, that we can still get into the playoffs and hopefully have him rested and ready to go for game number 1 of a wild card series, which will possibly be against the Cubs at this point. The big question is whether we'll be at home or away if we face the Cubs, but as we've talked about, still have a magic number of 3 with 3 games to go, so would like to see the Reds and the Cardinals losing some games in these next few days. And one thing that we do like to see is that the Reds are going to be facing off against the Cubs. Now the Reds still have 1 game in hand on us, that they'll be playing against the Brewers today, and they've taken the first 3 of that series against the best team in the National League. But don't say that I hate having 2 of the teams that we're competing with for the wild card spots facing off against each other over the final 3 games of the year, because that guarantees every day that somebody that's either chasing us or that we are chasing will be losing a game every day. So if we're able to kind of take care of some of our business against the Dodgers, hopefully can get into the playoffs. If we win 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, really like our chances, even though the magic number is 3. If we win 0 or 1 against the Dodgers, it could get very interesting. And we'll find out how this push for the playoff goes over these last 3 days live with you. Got to win 5-2, game number 1 against the Dodgers, so that was big. Strong performance from Pablo Lopez. Pache stymied the Los Angeles offense, and we erupted with 5 runs in the 5th. Single by Condon, the new addition, Mr. West, with a 2-run single, and then Ozzie Albies with a 3-run homer, getting an opportunity to pinch hit for Cerna, and he made the most of it. Lopez going to finish the year 14-10 with a 4.36 earned run average. That $20 million salary that he's making this year and he's going to make next year has been a bit of a anvil around our neck this year, but he did improve pretty significantly from a year ago with a 3.1 WAR on the season, and basically flipped his 1-loss record around entirely. So a solid season from Lopez, and with that win against the Dodgers, magic number is down to 1 as the Reds dropped a game to the Cubs. So a game behind the Cubs for the home field in the wild card, a game ahead of the Cardinals for the final wild card spot, and we are now 2 games up on the Reds with 2 games to go to try to clinch a playoff appearance, period. Let's see if we can get it done today against the Dodgers. And we will wait here patiently for the game to move forward one day. And we did get a win against the Dodgers, so for the 4th consecutive year, we are going to be in the playoffs. Obviously, would prefer not to be in a wild card series, but obviously we'd prefer that our all-world shortstop Ezequiel Tovar was healthy and well, and that's not the case either. But we've clinched the second wild card spot. The Cardinals can't catch us at this point. They're still battling with the Reds for that final wild card spot. If we get a W on the final day of the season, the question is whether we can get past the Cubs to get the home field advantage. Taking a look at our team-by-team records, and our Colorado Rockies 2-4 against the Cubs, so even if we win and they lose, they're going to have home field advantage on us. So that may make us play things a little bit differently, although it's our number 4 starter set to go, so we don't have to get too creative. Isaiah Shader, the youngster, the best pitching prospect in our organization, number 44 prospect in baseball, 6th round pick from 2025, has become an important guy for us. 7-6 with a 3.15 ERA in the majors this year, 2.3 WAR. 21 starts among his 24 games that he's pitched for us. And as we try to go for a sweep against the Dodgers, Mr. Shader will be on the mound for the final game of the regular season. And it's going to take a little while for this one to move forward, given that we're at the end of the month. And we lost that final game of the regular season 3-2 with the Dodgers. Austin Wells, the batter of the month. So 2 straight months we've had the NL's best hitter. The soon-to-be free agent hit .422 with 9 homers, 17 ribbies in the month. So I don't know how we do it, but for a 4th straight year, the Rockies are in the playoffs. And we will be visiting the Chicago Cubs for a best 2 out of 3 Wildcard series. Simpson, of course, ends up leading the league in steals. Brenton Doyle 3rd in that category. Austin Wells 3rd in OPS. And Jesus Luzardo 2nd in the league in wins. So was not the easiest path to the postseason this year, but as I noted, it's our 5th year in Colorado, and we're going to be in the playoffs for a 4th consecutive season. We've been knocked out in the first round every year, hoping to do better this time around, and we'll find out whether or not we can win a playoff series without Ezekiel Tovar in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.